We're going to delve into the highly awaited film, Exorcist, Resurrection, which is set to premiere almost exactly 50 years after the first Exorcist movie. As you may expect, there are some spoilers ahead. As a single father, Victor has built a happy life for his daughter Angela. However, there are some things that he is unable to protect Angela from, such as the trauma of losing his wife in a Haitian earthquake when she was pregnant. Although Victor had the option to save her, we are told that he chose to save Angela because he was unable to save them both. Despite the fact that Angela has never met her mother, she still longs to feel her presence. Existence. Sometimes I hear Mom's voice, so I wanted to talk to her. Angela and her friend Catherine try to call her mother through a ritual, but when they are eventually found, they don't remember their time gone and begin acting strangely, leading their parents to think they've been possessed. Victor makes an effort to enlist Ellen Burstyn's reprised role as Chris McNeil to assist them. Victor and Catherine's parents decide to perform the exorcism when Chris, who hasn't seen her daughter in years, is left with little options after Catherine stabs Chris in the eyes. The Catholic Church declines to intervene. The group tries to exterminate the girls from the demon on their own with the community's assistance, but things don't go as planned and horrifying truths are discovered. They can't seem to do anything strong enough to weaken the demon, and even when Father Maddox tries to help the group, it just ends in his death fast. Eventually, the demon gives the group the option to save just one of the girls and reveals the truth behind Victor's decision to save his wife over Angela. It turns out that Victor actually chose to save his wife rather than Angela. The demon says, "God play a trick on you in the choice between Angela and Catherine." Victor and Catherine's mother decide that they won't make a decision, but Catherine's father cries out that he wants to save Catherine. It appears that his wish will be granted, but the devil plays another trick on them. Either a protection spell put on Angela while she was in the womb, or a cruel twist of fate, his wife is the one who dies instead. So he never really chose to keep Angela. The film closes with a monologue by Dow's former nun and Catherine, whose spirit is dragged into hell by demons as Angela is freed. Stressing the significance of belief, as scenes from each person's life following the exorcism are displayed because of what happened to his wife, Victor lost his sense of faith in God and everything spiritual. While this is common for this franchise, The Exorcist Believer depicts waning belief and faith as its major theme. Rather than merely attempting to restore Victor's sense of faith as its central thematic thread, the film defines what faith and the power of belief really mean, largely through her final monologue. In her monologue, Anne offers a contemporary interpretation of faith that sees. She talks about what the devil really wants from people, not just to put an end to their happiness and joy. Based on her own experience of being banished for having an abortion while pursuing her nunhood, she realizes that in order for her and others to truly rise above evil, they must remain faithful. This lesson is especially pertinent in light of the chaos and hatred we witness in contemporary society, and it fits well with her stepping into a greater role during the exorcism. The others also learn this lesson in their own unique ways after the exorcism. Exorcism, aside from the obvious impact of Catherine dying and being pulled into hell, there are a lot of lasting emotional and physical ramifications that come from the film's final exorcism sequence. Catherine's parents now will likely feel a sense of regret and remorse for not saving their daughter, but they do show signs working toward being in a better place, although the emotion of that loss is surely crushing and will have a lasting impact on their family. Catherine's parents look like they're trying to find a way to stay whole, while Catherine's father is initially sitting alone, looking defeated in a diner. There is a sense of hope that coincides with Catherine's mother's arrival, and their faith is restored and mended. Victor visits his wife's tombstone to reconnect with the past he's tried to leave behind, and now he and Angela can talk freely about it and move forward together. Angela appears to be able to start over after this incident, but she still misses Catherine. She now has a new perspective on herself and what her faith can achieve, which may lead her to try to become a nun once more. Franchise in upcoming releases. Chris is sidelined soon after a possessed Catherine stabs out her eyes, but the movie doesn't forget to wrap up her arc. When Victor first meets Chris, she's still bitter about their falling out over Chris publishing a book about her experience of being possessed. Regan made the decision to never talk to her again, and as a result, Chris is unaware of her whereabouts during the demon battle. Regan meets Chris at the end and asks, "Are you looking for Regan?" But she clearly doesn't believe what the demon says. The door is undoubtedly open, and their continued presence in this new era of The Exorcist could help connect these new films to the original much better. The reunion between Chris and Regan is something that fans will love, but could also be hinting at their bigger impact in the series. The two share a tearful reunion in the hospital, especially since Elda Blair reprises her role as Regan. The bigger question, though, is what this will mean for the franchise. Will the sequels have Chris and Regan return to be a bigger part of the story, or will they play a larger role in discovering the deeper truth about the demon? Franchise's future installments, the protective ritual performed on Angela while she's in the womb at the start of the film, might seem incidental, or just a way for the film to elicit those spiritual vibes, but it potentially plays a major role in the film's finale when the demon attempts to kill Angela as part of the deal made. The entity is unsuccessful. Angela's heart does stop beating for a bit, but the demon eventually transfers to Catherine to kill her instead. And Angela ends up living. One girl lives, one girl dies. This is once again explained as the devil playing a trick on everyone. But maybe that's a ruse, perhaps the real reason. The protective spell kept the demon from killing Angela because its purpose was to keep her safe from evil. This makes sense and provides a suitable explanation for the demon's inability to kill Angela twice. But it also begs the question of why the spell didn't prevent Angela from being possessed in the first place. It's worth wondering what function Angela and the protective spell play in her life, and perhaps in the future movies, that will be clarified. Alternatively, it might just be that the magic keeps her alive for the time being. Whether or not Angela's protection spell contributed to her survival in the end, the demon is undoubtedly strong and cunning. Its supernatural abilities can result in unspeakable horrors, and it can be extremely manipulative in the sense that it can sometimes trick people into believing lies by imitating the voice and emotions of the person it is controlling. The demon's capacity to deceive people with phony deals is undoubtedly its most terrifying and psychologically damaging talent. The way it manipulates expectations and makes victims feel like they've earned a sort of victory, only to cut them down in the next moment, is devastating. Even worse, none of the techniques used in the exorcism seem to slow it down at all. Frankly, it only seems to become more powerful and confident over time, so it's worth wondering how or if this demonic force can be destroyed. This question will likely be something the sequels try to answer when it inevitably returns to possess someone else, and the characters search for answers. Now, though, this demon seems unstoppable and presents quite the tricky devil to defeat, as she defines the power of trust and conviction in the movie's conclusion. In a conversation with Victor, she also discusses the influence and strength that people in the church have if they maintain their faith. She also discusses how the church's presence helps her and others believe in a presence outside of themselves, because people return there seeking assistance after the worst tragedies imaginable. This serves as a reminder of the community's strong faith. People are the church's true backbone. It is their unity that enables her and others to persevere through difficult times and support one another through turmoil. Strong and compelling viewpoint on how church attendance affects the community's faith that is also difficult to refute. She even acknowledges that neither she nor others can know for sure what is true or not, but as long as everyone attends, she and others are reminded that they are not alone, which increases their sense of belief. Through Anne, the Exorcist believer offers a wealth of contemporary viewpoints on religion and the church. In the end, this perspective is what helps Victor's faith be restored. Like the Halloween films directed by David Gordon Green, the believer in exorcism has a lot to say regarding. While you might think the Catholic Church would step in to help Catherine and Angela, the Church rejects the opportunity. So just as the exorcism is about to start, it seems like they're without help. But close neighbors and allies come to their aid and put their lives in danger to help two families in need. Community, as Catherine's parents and Victor, are helped by those around them in the finale. Even though the film's ending is where viewers truly witness everything come together as Victor's, there are subtly placed interactions and plots that underscore that sense of community and mutual aid throughout the whole picture. While fans would normally debate whether sequels were in the works after a requel like this, we already know that Believer is just the beginning of a new phase of the Exorcist franchise. Although the film's ending doesn't hint at a clear direction for the next film director David Gordon Green, the depiction of community is where the film's heart lies, and is a big reason the finale packs an emotional punch. Neighbors volunteer to help them save Catherine and Angela. It genuinely shows what being a tight-knit community really means, even though we don't get to know some of these side characters who help in the finale. He and his team are currently exploring a number of different directions. The world of exorcism and possession is so vast that as the movie finds itself existing in the world over the next few weeks, I think many of those questions will be answered. As of right now, the only thing we know for sure is that there is a Believer sequel called Deceiver, which is scheduled to open in theaters in 2025, has already begun talking vaguely about the next couple films and what will ultimately amount to a trilogy if all goes well at the box office.